In celebration of 10 years since the term wellness architecture has been coined, we wanted to do a little retrospective on how far we've come. The term wellness architecture was first used in a meeting with Susie Ellis and Nancy Davis over a decade ago. I was sharing my philosophy on architecture, which is that the built environment has the power to enhance our health and well-being and even nourish our soul. Susie asked, well, what do you architects call that? And I said, I don't know if it has a name. And that's when Nancy leaned in and said, sounds a lot like wellness architecture to me. Out of those conversations grew the Wellness Architecture Initiative for the Global Wellness Institute, and we had our first event in 2015. At that time, when I said wellness architecture, a lot of people thought it was about fitness or spa, but it's so much more than the activity that occurs there, so much more than putting a yoga mat in the closet.
What I really like is this bridge element here, and being able to see straight.
Today, people are now realizing that wellness real estate is a health-positive environment for optimal longevity. When I started in architecture, I just accepted conventional practices as the way to build. But through personal experience and research, my perspective quickly shifted. My grandma died in a fire, and that led me to become a volunteer firefighter. One of the first things we learned is that fires are burning hotter and spreading much faster than they ever have because of all of the highly flammable materials that we build them with and fill them with. How can we install a toxic material with a hazmat suit and then a few weeks later put some food in it and ask our loved ones to move in? I mean, it's just completely insane. So I asked myself, how did we get to this point where wellness is a differentiating factor? The industry's journey to unwellness started about 80 years ago. Every single misstep that was made was always solution for a bigger issue at the time. After World War II, there was a mass migration to urban centers, and they simply couldn't build buildings fast enough. So the invention of flat sheet goods and easy ways to infill framing with insulative bats or spray foam were great solutions to speed up construction and make it more cost-effective. The materials had unintended consequences as they were often comprised of carcinogenic, endocrine disruptors, and neurological toxins. In the 1970s, with people smoking indoors, there was an increased number of fires. California mandated the use of chemical fire retardants for the first time, which was really unfortunate because the real issue was that the industry had already shifted to these highly flammable, toxic materials. For example, polyurethane foam had replaced natural materials like cotton and wool, which ironically is naturally fire resistant. It took almost 40 years before the law was revised, making fire retardants optional. During the 80s, buildings were designed to be more airtight and energy efficient. The catalyst for this change was the oil crisis that happened a decade prior, when the cost to heat buildings skyrocketed. Although the intentions were sound, the tightening of leaky buildings and minimization of ventilation created the sick building syndrome, which was a term doctors coined when occupants reported respiratory, throat, nose, and eye irritations, things that seemed to improve when they left the airtight building. 50% of our remodeled and new buildings today are still associated with sick building syndrome, persisting as a widespread public health concern. Learning from these mistakes has led us to the 2010s, when wellness architecture was becoming a movement. Leading organizations like Building Biology, Biophilic Design, Center for Active Design, International Well Building Institute, we're really starting to move from this idea in the green movement of doing less harm to doing no harm. These ideas of wellness really helped push it even further, saying, let's not stop at sustainability, let's create life-enhancing environments. Science, which had not existed previously, was proliferating the marketplace and driving demand. Wellness real estate has grown 2 to 5 times faster than traditional counterparts. Understanding what future generations expect and need is the only way to safeguard our investments in real estate. People in all different places are seeing the benefits of making their own little shifts in their environment and creating spaces that uplift and nourish their daily lives. Together, as wellness real estate and design professionals, we are creating a new way of living that will be relevant for generations to come.